The silver ship floated through the darkness of space like a graceful bird. Its surface was smooth and covered with symbols that glowed softly in the starlight. This was the Harmonious Endeavor, pride of the Galactic Concordat. Inside the ship, Ambassador Velthra stood before a large viewing screen, her forearms clasped behind her back in a gesture of deep thought. "There it is," she said quietly. Earth. The blue and green planet rotated slowly on the screen. White clouds swirled across its surface. It looked peaceful, beautiful, and according to all their data, it was home to a species that had just learned to travel between the stars. Velthra's assistant, a young Zenthari named Court, approached with a data tablet. "Ambassador, the final scans are complete. The humans have established 7 colonies in their solar system. Their technology is basic but functional. They have simple, faster-than-light engines, energy weapons, and standard defensive shields." "Tier 3 classification?" Velthra asked. "Yes, Ambassador. Standard Tier 3. They are exactly where we expected them to be." Court's voice carried the confidence of someone reading from a proven formula. "They achieved interstellar flight approximately 30 years ago. They are still learning, still growing." Velthra nodded slowly. She had done this many times before. The Galactic Concordat had welcomed 47 species into its fold over the past 3,000 years. Each time followed the same pattern. A young species discovers faster-than-light travel. They venture nervously into the galaxy. The Concordat finds them, extends a welcoming hand, and guides them into the community of civilized worlds. It was a good system. A peaceful system. The Concordat protected young species from the dangers of space. Pirates, rogue asteroids, unexplored phenomena that could destroy entire colonies. In return, these species learned from the elder races. They gained access to better technology, trade routes, and thousands of years of accumulated wisdom. "Prepare the diplomatic gifts," Velthra ordered. "We will approach their homeworld directly. Send the standard greeting in all major human languages." "At once, Ambassador." Court bowed and hurried away. Velthra turned back to the screen. She felt good about this mission. Humans seemed like a promising species. They had survived their own internal conflicts and united under a single planetary government. That alone showed maturity. Many species remained divided even after reaching the stars. The Harmonious Endeavor moved deeper into the solar system. It passed massive gas giants, rings of ice and rock, and small human stations that monitored the outer planets. None of the humans tried to stop them. Good. They understood that the Concordat came in peace. In the ship's preparation chamber, Court supervised the arrangement of diplomatic gifts. There were information crystals containing scientific knowledge, medical technology that could cure diseases, agricultural techniques that could feed billions, energy systems that were clean and efficient. The Concordat always brought gifts. It was their way. "Do you think they will accept quickly?" asked one of the junior diplomats, a floating being made of organized gas called a Thessian. Court smiled. "They always do. What choice do they have? Out here in the dark, alone and vulnerable? We offer them safety, prosperity, and friendship. Only a fool would refuse." The Harmonious Endeavor reached Earth's moon and took up a stable orbit. Velthra sent the formal greeting. Within an hour, the humans responded. They were invited to come to a space station that orbited Earth. The humans called it Unity Station. As Velthra prepared to shuttle down, she reviewed what they knew about humans. They were mammals like several other Concordat species. They breathed oxygen. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, and expressive faces. They formed strong social bonds and valued things like honor, courage, and family. All very familiar traits. "They will fit well into the Concordat," she said to Court as they boarded the shuttle. "Perhaps in a few hundred years they will be welcoming new species themselves." The shuttle descended toward Unity Station. Through the window, Velthra could see Earth below. She thought about the billions of humans living on that world. Soon they would learn that they were not alone in the universe. They would discover friends, allies, and teachers among the stars. The shuttle docked smoothly. Airlocks hissed and equalized pressure. Velthra straightened her ceremonial robes and walked forward. The door opened and she got her first real look at humans. They were smaller than she expected. They wore simple but professional uniforms in dark blue. Their faces were calm and composed. A woman with gray hair and sharp eyes stepped forward. "Welcome to Unity Station," the human said in clear Concordat standard language. I am Secretary General Martinez of the United Earth Government. We are honored by your visit. Velthra bowed in the concordant manner. I am Ambassador Velthra of the Galactic Concordat. We come bearing friendship and an invitation to join the community of civilized worlds. Martinez smiled politely. We are grateful for your offer. However, we would like some time to review your proposal before making any decisions. Would 48 hours be acceptable? Velthra blinked in surprise. Usually, new species were eager, almost desperate to accept. They asked questions, yes, but they rarely needed time to consider membership in the most powerful alliance in known space. Of course, Velthra said smoothly. Take all the time you need. But inside she felt the first small seed of doubt. These humans were very calm, too calm. They showed no fear, no excitement, no wonder. They acted like this was just another diplomatic meeting, not the most important moment in their species' history. Something felt different about this first contact. Velthra just could not figure out what it was yet. The conference room aboard Unity Station was designed to be neutral and welcoming. Soft lighting illuminated a large circular table. Comfortable chairs accommodated beings of different sizes and shapes. On one side sat the Concordat delegation. On the other sat the human representatives. Ambassador Velthra activated a holographic display. Images of beautiful worlds appeared in the air above the table. Cities of crystal and light, vast gardens that fed billions, ships that moved peacefully between stars. This is what the Concordat offers, Velthra said warmly. For 3,000 years we have maintained peace across 47 worlds. We share technology freely. We resolve disputes through discussion, not violence. We protect each other from the dangers of the galaxy. Secretary General Martinez watched the images carefully. Her face showed interest but remained professionally neutral. What would be expected of Earth in return? Very little at first, Court explained eagerly. You would have junior membership status. You would learn our ways, adopt our standards for space travel and communication. In time, you would contribute to our common defense and participate in our council meetings. But that would be many years from now. Junior membership, Martinez repeated. For how long? Velthra made a gesture that meant patience. It varies by species, usually between 100 and 200 years. It gives you time to learn and adapt without pressure. One of the human representatives, Admiral Chen, leaned forward. And during this time, who commands human military forces? You do, of course, Velthra said quickly. But the Concordat provides guidelines for engagement, protocols for encounters with unknown species, and assistance if you face threats beyond your capabilities. What kind of threats? Chen asked. Court laughed softly. You need not worry, Admiral. The Concordat has kept the peace for millennia. Pirates are rare and easily dealt with. Dangerous spatial phenomena are well mapped. You will be very safe under our protection. Something flickered across Chen's face. It was too quick for Velthra to identify. The Admiral simply nodded and made notes on his tablet. Martinez stood. Thank you for this presentation, Ambassador. As I said, we need time to discuss this among ourselves. Would you be comfortable returning to your ship while we deliberate? Of course, Velthra said, though she felt puzzled again. The humans were so formal, so careful. Where was the excitement? The relief at not being alone in the universe? The Concordat delegation returned to the harmonious endeavor. Once they were safely aboard, Velthra called a private meeting with her senior staff. Something is wrong, she said without preamble. Their response is not normal. The ship's intelligence officer, a being called Drath, who resembled a walking collection of crystals, spoke up. I have been monitoring human communications. With your permission, Ambassador, I would like to present my findings. Go ahead. Drath activated a console. Streams of intercepted data appeared. The humans are using military-grade encryption for most of their communications. This is unusual for a Tier 3 species. However, some of their less sensitive channels are accessible. Audio played. Human voices speaking quickly. Fleet Command, this is Unity Station. The Concordat delegation has returned to their vessel. Initiate Protocol Gamma 7. Unity Station acknowledged. All defense platforms moving to Condition 2. Outer system patrols report no additional contacts. Roger that. Admiral Chen wants a full assessment of their vessel's capabilities. Science teams are analyzing their shield harmonics. The recording ended. Velthra felt her hearts beat faster. They are preparing for conflict. Not necessarily, Drath said carefully. But they are certainly more alert than we anticipated. There is more. Another recording played. Sir, when should we inform the Concordat about the Titan class? Not yet. Let them make their formal offer first. Admiral wants to see what they really think of us before we show our cards. Understood. The indomitable will should reach the outer system in 30 hours. Velthra's skin changed color slightly, a sign of confusion among her species. What is a Titan class? Unknown, Drath admitted. The term appears frequently in military communications, but always with high-level encryption around the details. Whatever it is, it appears to be significant. Court spoke up nervously. Perhaps it is just their name for a battleship? Tier 3 species often have warships. Usually they are small, poorly armed compared to our standards, but they take pride in them. Perhaps, Velthra said slowly. But doubt gnawed at her. The pieces did not fit together properly. The humans had better encryption than expected. Their defensive positions were more sophisticated than the initial scans suggested. And now there was something called a Titan class arriving. Could our classification be wrong? Asked the Thessian diplomat. Could they be Tier 2 instead of Tier 3? Drath's crystals flickered as he thought. Our classification system has been accurate for 3,000 years. Based on their technology, their expansion rate, and their energy signatures, they are clearly Tier 3. They must be. But Velthra was not so sure anymore. She had lived for 400 years. She had seen many species join the Concordat. She had learned to trust her instincts. And her instincts were screaming that something was very different about humanity. Continue monitoring, she ordered, but do not interfere with their communications. We will wait for their answer and hope our concerns are unfounded. The next 30 hours passed slowly. The harmonious Endeavor orbited Earth peacefully, but the crew was tense. Velthra spent the time reviewing every bit of data they had on humanity. She read their history, their literature, their philosophy. What she found made her increasingly uneasy. Humans fought. They fought each other. They fought nature. They fought disease and death itself with a stubbornness that bordered on insanity. Every page of their history was written in struggle. They never gave up. They never accepted defeat. Even when facing impossible odds, they found ways to survive. These were not the usual characteristics of a Tier 3 species. Most young species were naive, hopeful, and peaceful. They had not yet learned the harsh realities of the galaxy. But humans seemed to have learned those realities already, without the Concordat's help. Ambassador, Drath called urgently. There is a massive spatial distortion at the edge of the solar system. Velthra rushed to the sensor station. What kind of distortion? Something is dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Something very large. On the main screen, space itself began to tear. Light bent and twisted. Energy readings spiked across every spectrum. And then, like a predator emerging from shadows, a ship appeared. Velthra stared in absolute shock. The ship was enormous. It was easily 12 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull was dark and angular, covered in armor plating that made their scans slide off uselessly. Weapon ports lined its surface like the teeth of some ancient beast. The energy signature from its reactor was stronger than most space stations. By the Concordat, Court whispered. What is that? More ships appeared behind it. 20 destroyer-class vessels, each one comparable to the harmonious Endeavor in size and power. They formed up in a perfect escort formation around the massive central ship. A communication came through. The voice was human, male, and completely calm. This is the UENS Indomitable Will Titan-class warship. We are here for the diplomatic proceedings. Please transmit docking coordinates. Velthra could not speak. She could only stare at the massive warship that had just shattered every assumption the Concordat had made about humanity. The main bridge of the harmonious Endeavor had gone completely silent. Every member of the crew stared at the viewing screen where the Indomitable Will dominated the display. The ship was so large that their sensors had to zoom out just to capture its full length. Velthra finally found her voice. Get me full tactical analysis, now! Drath's crystals pulsed rapidly as he worked. Ambassador, I barely know where to start. The vessel mass is approximately 12 million tons. It has armor plating I cannot fully penetrate with our scans. I count 470 weapon ports of various sizes. The reactor signature suggests an output exceeding anything in the Concordat fleet by a factor of 8. 8? Court's voice cracked. That is impossible. They are Tier 3. They should not have that kind of power generation technology. And yet they clearly do, Drath replied grimly. I am detecting launch bays capable of deploying hundreds of fighter craft, point defense systems covering every angle, shield generators that could probably withstand sustained fire from an entire battle group. This ship is not just a warship. It is a mobile fortress. Velthra felt cold despite the comfortable temperature of the bridge. How did we miss this? How did our initial scans not detect a ship this size? It was not here, Drath said. According to the humans' communications we intercepted, it was returning from somewhere they call the outer reaches. It has been in faster-than-light travel for weeks. The implications crashed down on Velthra like a physical weight. If humans had built one ship like this, they might have built more. And if they had ships like this, their military capabilities were not Tier 3. They might not even be Tier 2. Open a channel to Unity Station, she ordered. I need to speak with Secretary General Martinez immediately. The communication connected within seconds. Martinez appeared on the screen, her expression unchanged. Yes, Ambassador? Secretary General, we have detected a rather large warship entering your solar system. The, Indomitable Will, I believe it is called. That is correct, Martinez said calmly. She is one of our Titan-class vessels. We thought it would be appropriate to have her present for the diplomatic proceedings. She had said one of. Velthra felt her legs weaken slightly. How many Titan-class warships does Earth possess? That is classified information, Ambassador. But I can tell you that the Indomitable Will is not the only one. Martinez smiled slightly. I hope her presence does not make you uncomfortable. She is here only as a formality. A formality. A 12-kilometer warship is a formality. Velthra tried to keep her voice steady. Of course not, Secretary General. We welcome all participants in the diplomatic process. Excellent. We have finished our deliberations. Would you be willing to return to Unity Station to hear our response? Yes, we will shuttle over immediately. The communication ended. Velthra looked at her crew. They all wore expressions of shock and confusion. The comfortable assumptions that had guided their approach to Earth had been completely destroyed. Should we request backup? Cord asked quietly. The Concordat has warships we could summon. And tell them what? Velthra replied. That we miscalculated so badly that we approached a heavily militarized species with a single diplomatic vessel? That would be a humiliation the Concordat has not suffered in 1,000 years. She straightened her robes with all four arms. No, we will proceed with dignity. The humans have not threatened us. They have been perfectly courteous. Perhaps there is an explanation for all of this. But as Velthra shuttled back to Unity Station, she could not help but stare out the window at the Indomitable Will. The ship hung in space like a dark moon, its surface bristling with weapons. Small fighter craft moved around it in precise formations. Occasionally, bright flashes along its hull suggested weapons tests or system checks. It was beautiful in a terrible way. A monument to military engineering. And it spoke of a philosophy very different from the Concordat's peaceful approach to the galaxy. The shuttle docked. Velthra and her delegation walked through Unity Station's corridors. This time she noticed things she had missed before. The walls were reinforced. The corridor intersections had automated defense turrets, currently retracted but clearly present. Every human they passed wore a uniform and moved with purpose. This was not a diplomatic station. It was a military outpost that also handled diplomacy. They entered the conference room. The human delegation was already there. Admiral Chen sat next to Martinez now, his uniform decorated with medals and insignia. Several other officers flanked them, their faces serious. Ambassador Velthra, Martinez began. We have considered the Concordat's generous offer of membership. And? Velthra asked, keeping her voice neutral. We must respectfully decline junior membership status. The words hung in the air. In 3,000 years, no species had declined Concordat membership. It simply did not happen. I see, Velthra said carefully. May I ask why? Martinez glanced at Admiral Chen, who nodded. The Secretary General folded her hands on the table. Ambassador, your offer assumes that Earth is a young, inexperienced species in need of guidance and protection. That assumption is understandable based on your initial scans of our civilization. However, it is not accurate. The Titan-class warship suggests as much, Velthra admitted. The Titan-class vessels are part of a larger military doctrine. Chen spoke up. We call it the Never Again Doctrine. It was created 80 years ago in response to an existential threat to our species. What kind of threat? Drath asked from behind Velthra. Chen's face hardened. Have you ever encountered a self-replicating machine intelligence designed for war? The room went cold. Velthra felt her blood freeze in her veins. You mean the Reapers? Every member of the Concordat delegation knew about the Reapers. They were the nightmare whispered about in the oldest records. Ancient machines that consumed entire civilizations. The Concordat had found their remnants on dead worlds at the edge of explored space, but those machines had been inactive for thousands of years. They were history, not a current threat. You call them Reapers, Martinez said quietly. We call them the Crisis. 80 years ago, a dormant Reaper facility woke up in a system we were exploring. Within weeks, the machines had built a fleet. They attacked our colonies. They attacked Earth itself. How did you survive? Velthra whispered. Barely, Chen replied. We threw everything we had at them. Billions died. Earth's surface was scarred by orbital bombardment. But we learned. We adapted. We built weapons that could hurt them. And eventually, after 5 years of total war, we destroyed the Reaper fleet. Martinez continued. The Titan-class warships were built in the aftermath. We looked at what nearly killed us and decided that we would never be that vulnerable again. Each Titan can engage a Reaper fleet independently. Each one carries enough firepower to sterilize a planet if necessary. But we hope it never comes to that, Chen added. Because we learned something else during the crisis. We learned that the universe is not kind. It is not safe. And survival is not guaranteed to anyone, no matter how advanced they think they are. Velthra understood now. The humans were not naive Tier 3 newcomers. They were survivors of a crucible that would have destroyed most species. They had faced annihilation and emerged stronger, harder, and far more dangerous than anyone had guessed. You said you declined junior membership? Velthra said slowly. Does that mean you are open to other arrangements? Martinez smiled. Ambassador, we would very much like to join the Galactic Concordat, but as equals, not students. We have much to learn from you, and we suspect we have much to teach as well. The conference room had been transformed. Gone were the simple displays and polite presentations. Now the walls showed tactical maps, combat footage, and data streams that told the story of humanity's darkest chapter. Ambassador Velthra sat with her delegation, watching as Admiral Chen walked them through the history of the Reaper crisis. The footage was horrifying. Massive machine ships tearing through human defenses, cities burning under precision strikes, fleets of human vessels being systematically destroyed by weapons that adapted to every tactic thrown at them. This was the Second Battle of Mars, Chen narrated as the images played. 6 months into the war, we had just lost Earth's defensive fleet. The Reapers were preparing to attack Earth itself. We had 3 days to evacuate as many people as possible. A massive space station exploded on the screen. Velthra flinched despite herself. Court made a small sound of distress. How many died in that battle? Drath asked quietly. 43,000 naval personnel, Chen replied, plus another 60,000 civilians on the station, who could not evacuate in time. Martinez took over the presentation. The crisis taught us several critical lessons. First, we learned that the galaxy contains threats that do not negotiate, do not show mercy, and cannot be reasoned with. The Reapers had one function: destroy organic life and convert the resources into more Reapers. Second, she continued, we learned that we were alone. We sent distress signals in every direction, broadcasting on every frequency we could generate. We hoped someone out there would hear us, would help us. But no one came. The words struck Velthra like a physical blow. The Concordat prided itself on being protectors. But 80 years ago, humanity had been screaming for help, and the Concordat had not even known they existed. We do not blame you, Martinez said, reading Velthra's expression. The Reaper facility was in an uncharted system, at the edge of what you call the outer reaches. You could not have known, but the experience shaped us. We learned that if we were going to survive, we had to rely on ourselves. The display changed to show technical schematics. Chen highlighted key elements. We analyzed every piece of Reaper technology we could recover. We learned how their shields worked, how their weapons functioned, how their ships were built. Then we designed countermeasures. The Titan class was the result, Martinez added. Each ship is essentially a mobile weapons platform designed to fight Reapers. Heavy armor to withstand their particle beams. Redundant systems so battle damage cannot cripple the ship. Massive reactors to power shields strong enough to absorb sustained fire. And weapons designed specifically to penetrate Reaper defenses. Velthra studied the schematics. Every detail spoke of brutal pragmatism. These ships were not built for exploration or prestige. They were built for war, for survival. for never being helpless again. How many Titan-class vessels do you have? She asked. Martinez and Chen exchanged a glance. Chen nodded slightly. Martinez turned back to the Concordat delegation. 5. The Indomitable Will, the Eternal Vigil, the Thunder's Answer, the Last Light, and the Prometheus Rising. Each one is stationed in a different sector of human space. Each one commands a battle group of support vessels. 5, Court whispered. 5 ships that could each challenge our entire defense fleet. We do not want to challenge anyone, Chen said firmly. These ships exist to defend humanity. Nothing more. We have no territorial ambitions beyond our current colonies. We do not seek to conquer or dominate, but we will never again be in a position where we cannot protect ourselves. Velthra understood. She was beginning to see the full picture now. What happened to the Reapers? Did you destroy them all? We destroyed all the active units, Chen replied. But the Reaper facility itself was only partially destroyed. Our scientists believe more facilities exist in deep space, dormant and waiting. If they wake up again, they will be humanity's problem to deal with. And possibly yours, ours. Dreth's crystals flashed in alarm. Martinez brought up a star map. The Concordat's territories were marked in blue. Human space was marked in green. And beyond both, stretching into the unknown, was a vast area marked in red. This is where we encountered the Reapers. The uncharted regions beyond both our territories. We have been conducting long-range patrols in this area for decades, looking for signs of Reaper activity. We have found 3 more dormant facilities, all heavily damaged, probably from ancient wars, but still potentially functional. The Concordat has maintained peace for 3,000 years, Velthra said slowly, because we have stayed within safe, explored space. You are saying there are threats in the unmapped regions that we have never encountered? Yes, Martinez confirmed. And if the Reapers are out there, they are a threat to everyone, not just humans. The Concordat's worlds would be just as vulnerable as ours. More so, perhaps, because your military doctrine is defensive, not offensive. Your ships are designed to keep peace between civilized species. Ours are designed to fight existential threats. The implications settled over the room like a heavy blanket. The Concordat had been safe for so long that they had forgotten real danger existed. They had built a society based on cooperation and mutual protection, which was admirable, but they had no experience fighting enemies who wanted to exterminate all life. Humanity had that experience, and they had paid for it in blood. You mentioned teaching as well as learning, Velthra said thoughtfully. What did you mean by that? Chen activated another display. This one showed training exercises, tactical simulations, and combat doctrine manuals. The Concordat has technology we need. Better sensors, more efficient engines, medical advances that could help billions. But we have something you need too. We have learned how to fight, how to survive, how to face impossible odds and find ways to win. We have also learned about defensive coordination at a scale you have never needed, Martinez added. During the crisis, we had to link every defensive platform, every warship, every ground installation into a single coordinated network. We had to make split-second decisions across entire star systems. Our command and control systems are probably the most advanced in the galaxy, born from desperate necessity. Velthra stood and walked to the star map. She studied the red zone, imagining what might be lurking in those uncharted systems, sleeping Reaper facilities, perhaps other threats that no one had discovered yet. The galaxy suddenly seemed much more dangerous than it had that morning. The Concordat Council will need to discuss this, she said finally. What you have told us changes everything. Our assumptions about the galaxy's safety, our defensive priorities, our first contact protocols. We understand, Martinez replied. Take all the time you need. But while you deliberate, there is something you should know. What is that? Martinez smiled, and for the first time, Velthra saw genuine warmth in it. Despite everything we have been through, despite the scars we carry, we genuinely want to join the Concordat. We believe in cooperation between species. We believe in peace. We just believe in being strong enough to defend that peace. We are not asking you to become warriors. We are offering to stand watch while you continue being what you are best at, building bridges between civilizations. Velthra felt something shift inside her. The initial shock was fading, replaced by understanding and perhaps even hope. You are offering a partnership. We provide knowledge and diplomatic expertise. You provide military capability and threat assessment. Exactly, Chen confirmed. Together we are stronger than either of us could be alone. You can teach us how to be better neighbors, better diplomats, better builders. We can teach you how to protect what you have built." For the first time since the indomitable will had arrived, Velthra felt her confidence returning. This was not the disaster she had feared. It was an opportunity. A chance for the Concordat to evolve beyond its comfortable boundaries and face the real galaxy. "I will send your proposal to the Council," she said, "and I will recommend full membership for humanity. As equals." Martinez extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. Velthra clasped it with two of her own hands. "Welcome to the Galactic Community, Secretary General. We may have started awkwardly, but I believe this partnership will be remembered for a very long time." 3 weeks later, Ambassador Velthra stood in the Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Concordat. The chamber was a marvel of architecture, a vast dome that could hold representatives from all 47 member species. Today it held them all. Every species had sent their ambassadors, their military advisors, and their scientists. What humanity had revealed was too important to ignore. The holographic display at the center of the chamber showed the Reaper crisis footage again. Council members watched in horrified silence as human ships fought desperately against the machine hordes. When the footage ended, the chamber remained quiet for a long moment. Chancellor Voss, leader of the Concordat Council, spoke first. "In 3,000 years of peace we have grown comfortable. Perhaps too comfortable, Ambassador Velthra. You have reviewed all the data humanity provided. What is your assessment?" Velthra stepped forward. Her forearms gestured as she spoke. "Chancellor, honored council members, I believe humanity represents both a wake-up call and an opportunity. They have shown us that the galaxy contains threats we have not prepared for, but they have also shown us how to face those threats." "Are we certain these Reapers are a real danger?" asked a representative from the Thessian Collective. "They were defeated 80 years ago. Perhaps they are extinct." "We cannot take that chance," Velthra replied. "Humanity has found 3 additional dormant facilities. If even one wakes up, it could threaten multiple worlds before we could organize a response. Our current military is designed for peacekeeping, not existential warfare." "So what do you propose?" Chancellor Voss asked. "I propose we accept humanity as full members of the Concordat with equal status and voting rights. Furthermore, I propose a joint military initiative. Humanity will share their combat experience and defensive technologies. We will share our scientific advances and diplomatic networks. Together we create a new defense strategy that can protect all our worlds." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some representatives were enthusiastic. Others were concerned. A few were outright frightened by the idea of militarizing the peaceful Concordat. Chancellor Voss raised his hand for silence. "Let us hear from the humans themselves. Secretary General Martinez, you have been observing these proceedings. Would you like to address the council?" Martinez stood from the observers section. She walked to the center of the chamber with Admiral Chen beside her. Even here, surrounded by dozens of alien species, she moved with calm confidence. "Honorable Council," Martinez began, "humanity does not wish to change what the Concordat is. You have built something remarkable, a society based on cooperation, knowledge sharing, and peaceful coexistence. That is precious and should be protected. We are simply offering to help protect it." "By bringing warships into our peaceful territories," challenged a representative from the Corthan Union. "By being honest about the reality of the universe," Chen replied. "Peace is not the natural state of the galaxy. It is something that must be maintained and defended. You have maintained it admirably within your borders. We are offering to help defend it from external threats you have not yet encountered." Martinez continued. "We propose a joint defense initiative. Human Titan-class vessels will patrol the frontier regions, the areas between Concordat space and the unknown. We will be your early warning system. If threats emerge, we will be the first to encounter them and will alert you immediately. In return, we gain access to your knowledge, your trade networks, and your diplomatic expertise." "And if you find threats?" asked Chancellor Voss. "What then?" "Then we assess together," Martinez said firmly. "We share all intelligence. We decide together how to respond. Humanity does not seek to be the Concordat's army. We seek to be partners in mutual defense." The discussion continued for hours. Representatives asked questions about human military doctrine, about the Titan-class capabilities, about the Reapers and what they meant for galactic security. Martinez and Chen answered every question honestly and thoroughly. Finally, Chancellor Voss called for a vote. "The question before us. Shall we grant humanity full membership in the Galactic Concordat and approve the Joint Defense Initiative as proposed? The vote was not unanimous. Some species remained skeptical. But when the count finished, 39 species had voted in favor. That was more than enough. Then it is decided, Chancellor Voss announced. Welcome to the Galactic Concordat, humanity. Welcome as equals and partners. The chamber filled with sounds of approval, translated through dozens of communication devices into dozens of languages. Martinez smiled and bowed in the human gesture of respect. We are honored. We will not disappoint you. 1 month later, the Indomitable will floated in space next to the Harmonious Endeavor. The contrast between the two ships was stark. One was sleek and beautiful, designed for diplomacy. The other was angular and imposing, designed for war. Yet they flew together in perfect formation. On the bridge of the Harmonious Endeavor, Velthra watched as both ships prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel. Their destination was the frontier, the edge of known space where the Reaper facilities had been found. It is strange, Court said beside her. A month ago that ship terrified me. Now I find it reassuring. That is because you understand what it represents now, Velthra replied. Not aggression but determination. Not conquest but survival. A communication came through from the Indomitable will. Captain Roberts appeared on the screen, a stern-faced woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Ambassador, we are ready to jump on your signal. Thank you, Captain. Both ships will jump together. Understood. Ambassador, I just want to say it is an honor to serve alongside the Concordat. My crew and I will do everything we can to prove humanity worthy of this trust. You already have, Captain, Velthra said warmly. You already have. The two ships engaged their faster-than-light drive simultaneously. Space twisted and bent around them. In a flash of light, they vanished, heading toward the unknown together. Behind them, at Unity Station, work had already begun on the joint initiatives. Concordat scientists studied human defensive systems. Human engineers learned about Concordat sensor technology. Diplomatic teams from both sides worked to integrate humanity into the vast trade networks that connected 47 worlds. In the Concordat's military academies, new courses were being developed. Combat theory, threat assessment, emergency response protocols. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Concordat was preparing for the possibility of real war, but it was not done out of fear. It was done out of wisdom. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but it also held dangers. Better to be prepared and never need it than to be caught unprepared when disaster struck. On Earth, children looked up at the stars with new excitement. They were not alone anymore. Humanity had friends now, allies, partners in exploring the cosmos. The Concordat had opened its doors and its heart to them. And far beyond the edge of known space, in the dark places between stars, dormant machines slept in ancient facilities. They had slept for thousands of years. They might sleep for thousands more, or they might wake tomorrow. But if they did wake, they would not find helpless prey. They would find humanity standing watch, backed by the combined strength of 48 species. They would find the Concordat no longer naive but aware and prepared. The Indomitable Will and her sister ships patrolled the darkness, silent guardians keeping watch over the light. And aboard the Harmonious Endeavor, Ambassador Velthra looked at the star charts and smiled. They had come to Earth expecting to find children in need of protection. Instead, they had found watchmen willing to stand beside them. The Concordat had offered humanity membership. Humanity had accepted and offered something equally valuable in return: the hard-won knowledge that peace must be defended, and the willingness to stand on the wall so others could sleep safely. It was, Velthra thought, the beginning of a partnership that would reshape the galaxy, not through conquest or domination, but through cooperation between those who built and those who defended. Together they were stronger. Together they would face whatever the universe had waiting for them. And somewhere in the depths of space, both ships jumped forward into the unknown, side by side, ready for whatever came next.